what is the cancellation sphere that's out there in the world at the moment?
Well, the clear one that does exist is the attempt to find people whose employment is vulnerable to mob stampeding. So, somebody says something on Twitter, for instance, in support of somebody that Twitter doesn't like, and Twitter then finds where they work and lobbies their boss until they're sacked, sort of thing. That's the aim. And there's lots of sort of versions of that. Lobby a company, pretend that the company's going to lose masses of money because it's just destroyed its market, capability because everyone's unhappy with it. That stuff does go on.
But you're not happy with that being called cancel culture?
Well, no. It's not that. What I'm worried about is that we get stuck on it, because I believe it's much more important to focus on what is winning and what winning looks like. And, there is a certain, you notice this in American journalism a bit more than you do here. There is a bit of, I was so nearly cancelled. Oh, I was cancelled. There's a sort of certain, you always have it in writing, because writers are a very self-obsessed bunch and tend to think of themselves as being brave. I mean, Mark Stein made a famous quip years ago, writers are forever giving each other awards for bravery. And, you don't, all of the professions where they're, you've got to run into burning buildings and save people. They don't spend all their time talking about bravery awards, But writers are very big on bravery, and quite a lot of writers like the idea that they're sort of edgy and all that sort of thing, and so the idea of being cancelled is a little bit for them. I don't really care about that stuff. I care about people saying what they think, and I really think that people should not pay so much attention to a very, very rarefied and demented minority of people. And I don't think we should give these people the right to dictate the cultural weather in any way. Why should a small, demented group of people who believe that the big bearded man with a penis is a woman if he says he is, that they should dictate the cultural weather across the country and make major authors have to fear for their careers and make all politicians become gibbering wrecks when the subject comes up? Why should that be the case? Why can't we just have discussions out in a reasonable fashion and, advance your case to the best of your capability? But you don't do that. I think we've given, in issue after issue, very deranged minorities of minorities, the right to basically dictate the weather. And we don't need to, because on any estimation, most of those people are not doing that well. The authors who were the anti-Rowling people are not doing as well as her. So why not say, actually, the point about this is to say the person in your life you should want to be is J.K. Rowling. Not just because you should want to be rich, but because you should want to be in a position in your life where you can tell the truth. That should be the position you aim for. And I'm worried that all of this sort of actually encourages people to say the position I would like to sort of hold in my life will be the one where nobody notices me and nobody comes for me and I sort of get away with it and then die.
How vanilla can I spend the remainder of my life? I would like to be somewhere in between the colour eggplant and beige.
Absolutely, on the great color chart of humanity, human experience, and that's what they're doing. And I think we should encourage people not to play that game.
It's hard right? You've hit on something there that people like yourself or Sam Harris or J.K. Rowling, by virtue of success or financial backing or a level of independence with regards to your platform or whatever it might be, have gotten to great lengths to make yourself uncancelable, but not everyone has that luxury.
Sure, no, I don't underestimate it at all. Just my experience in life is that I've always said what I think, and it's worked well.
It's not done you. That's the thing I said before our first podcast. How do we get through all of these topics without stepping on a landmine? And you increasingly just sort of do a ballerina dance through this landmine
Yeah.
back and forth every single
I
day.
like to think it's slightly more butch than that, but I agree. It's something like it's somewhere in that.
Yeah. Okay.
Nureyev like leaps around. That's what that was the image that was in your mind.
Correct.
Yeah. No, but
I've got this image of you in a pink tutu that's just dancing through a minefield, but we're too cliched here now.
I'm
right?
just thrilled that the image is in your mind. But no, I mean, that's my experience. It is not to say that it's completely easy. I mean, you have to do your work and you have to work hard and you have to, weigh your words and you speak them as when you write them, but any normal person would anyway. And, but yeah, I think we've got to change the, there's this thing that's gone on in our era in general. I think this came out last time that we've moved from the heroic mood in society to the victim mood. We've moved in general from who is the person who's been most heroic in their lives to the sort of celebration of whoever's can say they've been the most victimized. And this is all a little bit of that. It's a little offshoot of it. And I'm not really that interested in victimhood, not because I'm hard-hearted or anything like that. It's just that my observation of life is that we can all of us whinge endlessly if we want to about our lot, because human experience is extraordinary in lots of ways and will always include an awful lot of mundanity and pain and grief and much, much more. So we could all do it. I'm just not sure that our society should encourage it as much as it does.
I think you're right. There's an interesting translation change that I came across recently. The Buddha said life is suffering, but the word of suffering is dukkha, D-U-K-A, and as with all ancient translations, it's a nearest, closest term that they try to find, right? And suffering was one of the translations, but there's some scholars that contest that it's not suffering, it's unsatisfactoriness. Life is unsatisfactoriness. And if you spend a bit of time in evolutionary psychology, you realize that unsatisfactoriness is fitness enhancing. If you were fully actualized upon killing your first bison, you'd never kill another bison. Upon having sex the first time, you'd never have sex again.
Exactly. I do know people like that. But the...
Come on.
No, you're right. Look, the unsatisfactoriness is, of course, wanting to do better, wanting to do more. A lot of people find this with the accretion of wealth. They never get enough of it. It's not the best way to do it, but it's one thing. Yes, unsatisfiedness isn't an entirely bad thing. It's an enormous drive for a lot of people. It's obviously one of the things behind ambition, and yes, I think there's an awful lot of things going on in our age, but we should try to identify the things that we're erroneously holding up as good. And I do think that holding up victimhood as not just good, but meaning that you specially deserve a platform or a microphone has turned out to be an unhelpful way to start a new generation off in this world.
It's a Jordan Petersonism, right, where he talks about the fact that a rabbit isn't inherently good because it's unable to commit evil. It's the enacting your shadow, fully internalizing your shadow from the Jungian perspective. And the same with that. Like, you're very correct. There is no bravery in avoiding courageous challenges.
Right. And one of the things, again, we touched on this when we last met, but one of the things I'm particularly worried about in this era is what's happening to men in all of this. Because men seem to me the primary people at the moment who have been persuaded to lessen their capabilities, lessen the things they could achieve, and sort of just find a way to get through this strange period that we're in. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy for men. It's not healthy for women. It makes very unhappy men, and it makes very unhappy women, because the women don't want those men.